Hi, welcome. If you are a woman over 40 doing everything that you used to do in order to lose weight, like cutting calories, exercising more, even eating clean, and your body just isn't responding, today we're going to talk about why you're not crazy, why you're not lazy, and it's not that you're not doing enough. It's just that you're working with an outdated formula that doesn't match your biology anymore. It's important. So this video is about the 6 things that most women are still doing that is not only not working for them, but potentially working directly against them and the goals they're trying to achieve. And why women in perimenopause and beyond need a completely different approach to finally let go of those 15 or 20 pounds that's holding you back, let you reclaim the energy, strength, and confidence that's still very, very available to us, even in our 50s, 60s, and beyond years. So if you're doing things, or if you're doing these 6 things and feel like you're getting nowhere, then I really want you to listen up. The first problem is the calorie trap, the whole eat less, exercise more idea. For decades, we were told that weight loss is math. Calories in versus calories out, ladies. You better work off that cookie that you had on the treadmill. But the reality is that your body isn't a calculator. It's a chemistry lab, a complex one at that. And in perimenopause, that chemistry changes. When you chronically undereat, skip meals, or live in that constant famine mode, your body doesn't feel safe. Why is this important? Well, because cortisol, your primary stress hormone, rises during that time. And to top it all off, your metabolism slows down, and the result is that your body starts conserving energy and being very resistant to releasing it. So instead of burning fat, your body starts to burn your muscle tissue for energy, because it is cortisol's job in times of stress to keep you alive. And so its tendency is to break down muscle and store fat for energy to keep you alive. It's pure survival. This is what we call weight loss resistance, and it's the number one thing that most women over 40 are starting to run into, and it's the number one thing that for women over 50 and especially 60 run into postmenopause. It's when your body literally fights you to keep the weight on. It's not a lack of willpower on your part, right? It's biology actually trying to protect you. So the goal is to learn how to work with this new system. The goal is not to eat less or deprive yourself more. The goal isn't to work it off anymore. The goal is actually to nourish yourself and your body more. Because a body that feels safe and fed finally feels free and gets the message that it's okay to let go of those fat reserves. So that's mistake number 1. Mistake number 2 is the cardio conundrum. Oftentimes, well, let's talk about exercise in general. If you're doing endless cardio on the treadmill, going for 4 or 5 mile walks 4 or 5 times a week, maybe you're jogging, trying to up the ante a little bit, if you're doing the elliptical or spin classes, and if you're working really hard but your body shape just isn't changing, again, it's not your fault. It means that you're actually stuck in what's called the gray zone. What that is that you're doing exercise that's too easy to be hard, but too hard to be easy. And this exact recipe keeps your cortisol, that stress hormone, high and your metabolism in the toilet. So what's the upshot or the result? It means that your pace ends up getting slower. You get even more and more tired on the treadmill. And you get even heavier because that cortisol is telling your body to store fat at a rapid rate. So in that case, you're not building strength, you're not even training your heart efficiently, and your body ends up in this constant state of stress. So the question is, what actually works? And in terms of exercise for perimenopause, polarizing your workouts is the most intelligent thing that you can do. What does that mean? It means a mix of thoughtful and intentional strength training and some zone 2 cardio. Zone 2 is that when you get into that sweet spot where you can feel your heart rate is elevated, but you can still breathe through your nose. So the goal is to work your body real hard with the weightlifting and the strength training, and then let it fully recover on the days where you're just doing a zone 2 walk or a zone 2 bike ride. That's what gets your body into what's called fat adaptation, where it's using fat for fuel and you're teaching your metabolism to work for you, work with you, and not against you. The third main mistake that I see is skipping that strength training. And what that does is it actually makes you lose that hold on your metabolic engine. One of the biggest mistakes that women make after 40 is avoiding weightlifting or strength training. One, because we've been told for decades that cardio is the thing that burns fat. We know with certainty that that is actually not true. But also one of the reasons why women tend to avoid strength training is because it could potentially feel intimidating. Maybe we don't know what to do. Maybe it's a little bit confusing for us and we're afraid of causing injury. But here's the truth. Muscle is medicine for us ladies. When we get to be 40 years old and 50 years old, muscle is one of the greatest allies that we can have on our side. It becomes our metabolic engine, and it's the thing that keeps your body burning energy even when you're hanging out and resting. We know that, right? But it's also what gives your body tone, shape, and resilience, which is something that we need as we continue to age. So, you don't have to become a bodybuilder. You don't even have to join a gym for that matter. I always recommend to my clients to start small with a few body weight movements, push-ups or lunges, some body weight squats. Maybe add in some resistance bands or do short sessions with light dumbbells at first, just to get your body accustomed to the movements and the art of lifting extra weight. Focus on your form, breathe deeply, and most importantly, listen to your body's signals instead of having this mindset of having to push it or punish it. This isn't about pushing harder or doing more or working out harder. It's about training smarter. And this is what we really want in our perimenopausal years, is to work smarter, not harder, right? When you build even a little bit more muscle and your body composition starts to change, your metabolism gets a boost, your insulin sensitivity improves, and your body composition starts to make your clothes fit better, give you more energy. And I often remind my clients of this too. Even if the number on the scale doesn't move right away, if you start implementing some strength training, you are progressing, and you will see the difference. Okay, mistake number 4. Falling into the diet chaos, the fad diet chaos, and putting yourself in a calorie deficit or famine loop. I talk about this a lot in my program. It's all or nothing mindset, where a lot of us have been there. By the time you get to be in perimenopause or menopausal age, we've probably done multiple diets in our lives. And oftentimes with a fad diet, we go in and we're going to do this, and we deprive ourselves and we limit our calories. And then at the end of the diet, we go right back to what we were doing before. That causes a loop in the system. So let's talk about that diet madness, because it's really important, like paleo or intermittent fasting or long-term fasting, juice detoxes, even clean eating rules that seem to get stricter every week, and suddenly you find yourself looking at ingredient lists in the grocery store wondering what in the world you can actually eat But every time you jump from one extreme plan to another and then abandon it, you confuse your hormones even more. And you end up teaching your body that food is unpredictable. So it clings to energy, aka your fat stores, to protect you from the next impending famine. And that's the exact opposite of what you want, right? Perimenopausal bodies crave stability. They need rhythm, nourishment, and trust. When you feed your body consistently with nutrient-dense foods, enough protein, healthy fats, colorful plants, you're sending your body a powerful signal, one that says, hey, you're safe. And when the body feels safe, fat release, not muscle release, but fat release, finally not only becomes possible, but it becomes so much easier than you ever think it could be. It's one of my favorite things in my group with my clients is when I hear somebody say something like, I cannot believe that I feel like I'm not even trying and the fat is just falling off my body. It's a beautiful thing. Number 5, sleep and stress. These are the hidden saboteurs of weight loss for a perimenopausal body, because you can be doing everything right with your food, your exercise, but if you're sleeping like 5 hours a night and waking up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom and not being able to get back to sleep, constantly feeling wired but tired, your hormones are going to take over and bully your body every single time. Cortisol and insulin are the gatekeepers of fat loss. And when they're dysregulated from a lack of sleep, it's like having one foot on the gas pedal and one foot on the brake, right? So you don't need another sleep hack. What you need is rhythm. What you need are rituals, not chores, not a to-do list of things that you have to do before bed. What you need is a rhythm of rituals that actually feel relaxing, feel connecting. Rituals that tell your body it's time to downshift. Maybe that's dimming the lights and reading a book after dinner, or journaling, or doing a light stretching routine before bed. Or maybe just ending the day with a few deep breaths of gratitude. It doesn't take much. But once you get completely and deeply connected to the vision of who you're becoming, then your rituals don't stay as goals, right? They're not just a goal. This is where discipline transforms into a form of devotion, right? You stop forcing habits and you start embodying them. And that's when transformation stops feeling like effort, like you have this to-do list of all these things that you have to check off the box before you go to bed. And it actually starts feeling like alignment, and you feel it in your system, you feel it in your bones. So number 5, sleep and stress. Number 6, the obsession with the number on the scale. This trap of measuring your progress only by the number on the scale is a trap indeed. The truth is that weight fluctuates. Hormones, hydration, muscle repair, even the time of the month if you're still having bleeding cycles. If you're lifting weights, your body composition is improving, even when the number may stay the same or even go up. So shift your focus. How do your clothes fit? How is your energy level? How are you sleeping at night? How strong do you feel in your workouts? How calm and steady is your mood? These are all real markers of health and of a transformation that's happening from the inside out. The number on the scale is just a single data point, and that's it. So, if you've been doing all the right things that we've been taught from before, cutting calories, grinding through workouts, trying every new diet out there, but you're still feeling stuck, it's probably because your body's ready for something wiser, one that matches it where it's at. In the Radiant Rewire with my clients, I teach them how to rebuild their metabolism from the inside out. We use the most recent science to determine our strategies, and we match it with the soul of who we are as women and who we are becoming. So we blend this science, strategy, and soul to help your hormones, your muscles, and your mindset all work together to create alignment. Your body isn't meant to be fought with. It's meant to be understood and listened to. And once you learn its language, everything changes. Everything changes. You stop feeling like you have to fight harder, and you start rewiring. You start rewiring smarter. Now, I want this for you.